Ottawa is one of the coldest capital cities in the world. It usually ranks just behind other capital cities like Moscow, Ulaanbaatar, or Helsinki. And that might sound awful, and in some ways it is, but there's still good reason to visit. In this video, we're going to explore Ottawa's famous winter festival Winterlude, stay at the Fairmont Chateau Laurier, and skate on the Rideau Canal Skateway, which is the world's largest naturally made skating rink. It runs 7.8 kilometers along the Rideau Canal, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Along the skateway, you'll find warming stations where you can put on skates and store boots in the cubbies. The cubbies don't lock, so you'll have to have faith in your fellow human. I'd recommend bringing a backpack and plastic bag. Chances are your boots will be wet, salty, and snowy when you arrive, so put the boots in the plastic bag and then put them in the backpack. There's also beaver tails and other food trucks at the rest stops. 7.8 kilometers sounds long, but really it doesn't feel like it when you're gliding across the ice. Unless, of course, you suck at skating, then 7.8 kilometers is gonna feel like 7.8 kilometers. It took me about 30 minutes to get from the start to finish, but don't forget, you have to double back. Another suggestion, check the wind direction. It's a lot easier if you have the wind at your back on the return trip. So wind direction could determine which end of the skate trail you start at. I also recommend starting around sunset, so you end the skate after dark with all the city lights on. It's beautiful during the day, but skating at night is the best in my opinion. Before the Rideau Canal existed, Indigenous tribes used the Rideau River and surrounding waterways as trade routes between Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence River, and the Ottawa Valley. Back then, portage routes were used to circumvent the waterfalls. The Rideau Canal was constructed after the War of 1812 to provide a water route between Kingston and Montreal. The St. Lawrence River was obviously a much more direct path. However, it was seen as being vulnerable, a reasonable concern, considering the American incursions during the war were still fresh in everyone's mind. The canal provided a bypass around the Rideau Falls, which flow into the Ottawa River. It's reported that Native communities continued to use their traditional portage routes even after the canal was constructed. The skateway was first opened during the winter of 1970 and 71. The idea to turn the Rideau Canal into a skateway came from the National Capital Committee chairman, Doug Fullerton. NCC employees cleared a small section of the canal at first, and due to its popularity, they quickly extended it to 5 kilometers. Today, it's 7.8 kilometers, and it's probably one of Canada's best winter traditions. The Fairmont Chateau Laurier was commissioned by Charles Melville Hayes, and construction took place between 1909 and 1912. Unfortunately, Hayes wouldn't get to see the hotel completed. The grand opening was planned for April 26, 1912. On April 15th, just 11 days before the hotel would open its doors, Hayes was sailing back to Canada from the UK when the ship he was traveling on sank in the North Atlantic. He was one of many lives lost aboard the Titanic. Hayes' final resting place may be the North Atlantic. However, it's believed by many that his spirit completed the journey back to the chateau and haunts the hallways and corridors to this day. The hotel opening was delayed, and eventually it opened in June of that year. It was named after the Prime Minister, Sir Wilfrid Laurier, who actually helped secure the land for the property. The hotel today is beautifully maintained, and you can feel the age and history as you wander through the halls. Some of Canada's other Grand Railway hotels, in my experience, are a little more restrictive with guest movements, but Chateau Laurier allows guests to wander all over. Exploring the corridors, hallways, ballrooms, and stairways is a lot of fun. I heard about this abandoned floor at the very top of the hotel, and amazingly I found it. You have to walk up a back staircase and then climb this cobweb-covered ladder. At the top, you can peer through the dirty glass window and make out an open door and hallway. It's a little spooky. I asked a couple hotel staff about this, and they had no idea what I was talking about. Or they've been told not to speak of the haunted top floor. Chateau Laurier is said to be one of the most haunted places in Ottawa. Guests have heard voices and singing in the hallways, and some employees have reported objects being moved and plates and glasses being broken. We didn't experience anything paranormal during our stay, but I will say the hotel definitely has a haunting vibe. I don't really believe in any of that stuff, but I did have the instinct to look over my shoulder once or twice. It does kind of remind me of the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. Honestly, for me, that kind of adds to the enjoyment of staying there. We booked a 2-queen room and got a great room with nice views of the hotel, Majors Hill Park, and the Ottawa River. I think we might have gotten a free upgrade because the room was much larger than I was expecting. We even got 2 bathrooms, which for a family of 4 is a great perk. The rooms look a little dated in the photos, but actually the rooms are just furnished with very traditional decor. And the furniture and beds are all very clean, in great shape, and comfortable. I'm not typically a fan of this style, but it fits perfectly with the style, architecture, and history of this property. In contrast, the Chateau Frontenac in Quebec City has done far more to modernize the room experience, and it felt kind of plain and boring, like it could be any luxury hotel room. I appreciate that the Chateau Laurier has stayed more true to the hotel's traditional roots. Something that surprised me was just how good the food was. Our first night, we ordered room service because we'd been traveling all day with 2 kids, and we didn't really feel like getting everyone bundled up again and going back out in minus 20-degree weather. One of the perks of staying at the Chateau Laurier during the winter is that you're naturally going to spend more time indoors, and this is a great hotel to spend time in. From exploring the historic corridors to spending time in the pool, which has barely been changed since 1912, to wandering around the shops and looking at the amazing historical photos, it really is an interesting and fun hotel experience. We paid to have breakfast included in our hotel stay, and it was exceptional. I did not expect this to be such a nice and luxurious breakfast experience. Zoe's is a beautiful restaurant off the lobby bar. The design and decor is stunning, and it reminded me of like the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas and some of their stunning restaurants. Again, the food was great and the service was excellent. Winterlude began in 1979, and by 2007, it was drawing 1.6 million visitors. It's an important event for Ottawa, and it's one of Canada's great winter festivals. Events, sculpture displays, and performances can be enjoyed over the course of 3 weeks in February. The Rideau Canal Skateway is one of the highlights of the festival, but you can find other events at Confederation Park, Jacques Cartier Park across the bridge in Gatineau, Byward Market, and at other locations around the city. Staying at Chateau Laurier puts you in close proximity to most of the Winterlude events. We were traveling with a 2-year-old, and it was some of the coldest days of the year, so we didn't venture more than 10 minutes from the hotel. But the cold temperatures are actually a benefit for those wanting to visit during Winterlude and skate on the Rideau Canal. A couple of years ago, the canal didn't even open because the weather was so warm, and that was the first time in history that it never opened at all for the whole year. And in other past years, warmer winters have caused problems for other Winterlude events, so pick a cold winter if you plan to go. If you're based in the Toronto area, Ottawa is an easy 4.5-hour train ride away. During the winter, taking the train is a very stress-free option, and you don't have to worry about potential snowstorms or icy roads. Although Via Rail has been experiencing some challenges with its equipment during the winter, but for us, it all worked out. I'm Mark, and I make travel videos about cities, neighborhoods, towns, and attractions. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. See ya.
I'm sorry to differ with you, sir. But you are the caretaker. You've always been the caretaker.